Alright, we got Boddie, y'all. Big Boddie. Yes, sir.
Yes,
How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm great, man. I made it out here. We in Dallas, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Just ready to race, man. Have a good time. It's beautiful racing weather, so we got lucky.
For sure.
The rain kind of went around us, so we here this weekend, clear skies, ready to have some fun.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So before we get started, man, just let my viewers. I mean, I know you, but like, let my viewers know, and I'm sure everybody else know you. But have you always been in Cali your whole life?
Yes, sir, man. I'm born and raised in California. Grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, California, to be exact. Been around racing my whole life, man. My dad, my uncle, my grandfather, everybody raced cars, so I was in the car seat, man. Going to the street. A lot of people didn't know that, but I grew up street racing. My dad and them didn't even have cages in their car, man. So that's the type of background I had, man. And when the time to come to the racetrack, I was the first generation who was at a racetrack. But as far as my roots, come back from racing on the street. Yeah.
Okay, so you got started from your dad. Oh, your dad got you started and everything.
Yeah, my dad and my uncle.
Okay, mine. You had a good relationship with your mom and your dad and everything, man?
Definitely, man. Great relationship, man.
Okay.
My dad and my mom, they wasn't together, so I felt like I had the best side of both worlds, man, because I used to go to my dad's house with all the race cars, and I went to mom's house and it was business, you know what I'm saying? It was sports and going to school. So once I had two sides, man. I had the business side and I had the fun side. Dad was always having fun. Even though he was strict and you couldn't do what you want, it was about fun over there. He was doing all the fun stuff. So yeah, I had a great upbringing, man. My mom did a great job all the way up until I played college basketball. A lot of people don't know that. I played high school and college. Yeah, so I was a basketball player first. I did a lot of things in basketball, man. I actually led the state of California in scoring. I was a big time player, highly recruited. So started off with the sports, the competitive nature came from there. And I was in the cars from day one. My dad was racing and playing sports, so I was watching him race and tinkering around racing my Hot Wheels and stuff like that, and racetrack cars, and led to me getting into my dad's car. And to answer the question, my first scene was into my dad's car. I took over his '68 Camaro, and it was a street car with a big block in it with nitrous. And they wasn't familiar with nitrous back then. They was old school racers. Yeah. They had nitrous on the car, but every time they would turn on, it would burn the motor up. So we wouldn't use it, but the motors made pretty good power on the motor, horsepower alone. Yeah. So memorable moment, man, was first time my dad done put me in a race car. They had slicks, man, that they were using 20 years ago. And they put the slicks from 20 years ago on the car. Yeah. And I said, Dad, they don't race like that no more, man. We gotta get some new tires. And they said, well, if you want to get some new tires, go ahead. But the ones in the garage, they work. And I looked on the date on the tires. They was from 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So I went out and I had one of their friends buy me some tires, and we was rushing, so we wasn't able to get no big tires that we wanted. So we ended up getting, it looked like some tractor tires because they were slicks, but they had grooves cut in them. And they were really a street slick, but they were real tall, because my dad then was old school, and they said, you want mile an hour, you got to get you a tall tire. Yeah. So man, we went out with these tires, and they wouldn't fit when we brought them over to the shop, to the garage. So we took a saw and we cut the whole back of the quarter panel out so the tire can fit, right? Now you got to realize this was way back in 1993. 1993. Okay. So we cut the car off, man, and we smoothed it out so it won't cut the tire. And we went out. Back then we would take the mufflers off the car, because they raced their cars, they called it uncapped. So we take the mufflers off, and the car was loud as hell, man. And we took a rope and towed it down to the back streets, and we had cause I grew up in the project. So we had the whole neighborhood with us. It might have been 100 people, man. And everybody was excited, because when the car started up, people would come from blocks to see it. So we told them we're going to go make a test pass. Man, we hauled down the back streets, man, with this car with these big old tires on it, sitting up like this. And I made my first pass, man, and so I'll never forget, we did a burnout and put it in the water. I did a burnout, about an 8-mile burnout, right? Yeah. And I bagged up and I tried to make a pass, and it was like I was still doing a burnout because the car didn't have no traction, man. And I'll never forget that moment, man. I had all the OGs out there who I used to watch my dad race. We had been ticking on his car for a couple months, and the anticipation was there, and I was breaking into the new driver, you know, because they had to put the car up and put it in the shop, in the garage for 20 years. Oh, so, I was bringing it back out, and I was debuting the new car. So that was a memorable moment, man, I'll never forget, because that was my first time and the car ran 9 seconds in the quarter mile back then, and that was my first time in the car and making my debut to being a real racer, you know.
So that was your first car?
That was the first race car I ever had.
Race car you ever had?
Yeah.
Dang, man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to your childhood, man. How was your childhood? Like, where did you grow up and everything? How was your childhood?
My childhood was great, man. My parents, my dad was a provider. You know, he was in the street, so he did what he did to make it work for us. And my mother worked little jobs here and there, and they put back to the kids, man. They made sure we had everything we need. So a lot of kids in my project struggled, and we had a couple of things that they didn't have. So when we went outside, man, I would share a lot because we had food in the house. A lot of dudes I grew up with around, their parents didn't have no food in the house. So it was a rough neighborhood, man. I felt like at the time I had the ability to help as a young age, so that just carved my character to being the type of guy that helped people, you know what I mean? And I feel like I carried that through the day because now I help people with information. I help people with motivation, you know, to see that they can do good things coming from a bad situation. So we made the best of our situation back then. Being a kid, man, I would say we was just like any kid, man. We got into trouble because we need to know what trouble was to figure out how to stay out of trouble. So we got in trouble to stay out of trouble. So we weaved and navigated our ways through being able to do good things. And my dad then was always tinkering in the garage, man. Always tinkering in the garage, messing with race cars, and that my love was always there. And I actually, to be honest with you, I'm motivated because in my era was the crack era. And crack came out, and a lot of people didn't have no more parents no more. Their parents was addicted to drugs. So my motivation to cars and the way I gravitated to cars, I actually started a thing where a lot of race cars was developing at the same time as I was. So once I brought my car out, a lot of my homeboys brought their car out. I think I made a scene about 8 cars just in my neighborhood just because I was racing and I motivated other guys to have cars, and I kind of brought back the spirit of racing at home.
Right. Yeah. Nice, man. I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Nice, man.
Yeah.
So I want to say, don't quote me, 2014 is when you made your debut on Street Outlaws?
Yes,
sir. Is it 2014? Am I right?
What we at, 13? I think it was 13.
13? Is it 13?
I think so. Right around there. You might be right.
I thought it was 14.
I think it's been 10 years since I've been on the show.
Right.
So we in 23?
Yes, sir.
I think it was 13 because it was 3 years at least. I think it was 13.
13?
Close to 14.
I was close.
You might be right.
I did a little research. I'm in that ballpark. I'm in that ballpark though, for sure.
I gotta check the exact date. You might be right. It's been 9 or 10 years. I've been about that.
Okay, so how was that like, man? So how did you get on Street Outlaws? Like, talk me through that process, man.
So prior to that, I was doing a lot of grudge racing at home.
And we gonna get to that too, as well. Yeah, right.
So with the grudge racing I was doing, YouTube had came out, and when YouTube came out, it's kind of shined the lights on grudge races and for people around the country to look you up. So when the Street Outlaws had came, and they were looking for more outlaw racers like myself, and they found me, man. They gave me a call. One day I get a call, and somebody, coordinated Chief to call me Big Chief, and he was like, man, we want to come and race you out there. We've been watching you, and we seeing what you're doing. We think we can get it, if you're still willing to race on the street. And that's how that came about. I got a call from Chief, and there I was, man. I showed up, and from there, shit, it's been all uphill. All downhill.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's a good story.
Yeah.
So, what's your most memorable moment on Street Outlaws that you had? Good or bad? Or preferably good, though.
Memorable moment. I think now, to be honest with you, was to see my son race out there. My memorable moment is you. You know what I'm saying? Because you can do all. To me, everybody have expectations for themselves, man. And I feel like it's goals. We go out there and reach our goals and we set them. But ain't nothing like watching your son come up
Sure.
and bring him into the spotlight and watching him perform and go out there and do well. So my memorable moment, man, I wouldn't even say it's about me, man. Watching my kid come in after I laid that foundation down and put that work in, made the platform, gave us an open platform, and he came in there and how well he's doing. He made it to, he got
30 for 30.
30 for 30. He got 30 for 30, man. That was huge. And he also got Rookie of the Year. That 30 for 30 and Rookie of the Year, man. That's my memorable moment, man.
And I was going to actually ask you about that, man. How was that like, man? That was actually one of the questions I had, man. That 30 for 30. That's a big achievement, man. That's a big achievement.
That's huge, man. And so why it was so big for me is because he was able to watch my mistakes. So that's one thing about him. He's a smart kid. He came in and he noticed what I was doing wrong, and he learned how to do his own stuff. He put his car basically in his own hands, and that's why he's been successful, man. He went out there and he created a lane for himself. He did great, man.
And I was gonna say, I read this quote once. It said, a smart man learns off his mistakes, but a wise man learns off the mistakes of others. Not saying you're not a mistake, but you know what I'm saying. But
right.
It was a good quote. It just brought me back to that.
Very good quote, because when you don't know something, you're going in unknown territory. You're gonna make mistakes, and my mistakes was right in his face, and he learned from them. You know what I mean? Because like you say, if you don't learn from the mistakes, you won't get no better. And if you don't make the mistakes, then you can't learn from the mistakes. So with me making the mistakes, he went in and he did well, man. He did really well.
Nah, he's definitely a top dog, man. I've been following him for a minute. He's doing pretty good, man. And I know you're a proud father too.
He got a lot of pressure on me to do good now, so we put him out there, and of course we put a lot of effort in his car for him to do good.
Yes,
that was the car I built to do what we're doing. And a lot of people see me, I don't make excuses, and a lot of times my cars that I had wasn't built to do what we were doing. I converted them over and tried to do what we were doing. When I built his car, it was built to do exactly what we're doing. And he went out there with his mindset and his determination. He got his car where it needed to be. But with me, now, with this new year, I promise you watch this.
Yes,
I'm coming, man. So I went and took the time out to build a purpose-built car to do what we're doing, and learning from my mistakes, watching my son. To be honest with you, I'm watching now. I'm watching him. I got to be smart enough to make the right choices now and watch the move he make and see his success. And now I'm trying to, do the same thing. So, but my new car, my whole new combination and stuff like that, I got a lot of confidence I'm gonna do well this year.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
So tell me, man. I want to know this too. Tell me a memorable moment, a couple memorable moments that you had with your son, man. I know y'all got tons.
Man, we got tons. I tell you this. So the first time I bought him a nitrous car, a lot of people seen the car.
Okay.
It started off in the nitrous small block. It was a Firebird.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his first time getting in the car, and we went to a race. I put him in the car at a race. We didn't go test. I showed up to a race, and I felt that he had the confidence to drive the car. On the motor, I'll say the car ran like a low 10. It's a 10-second car. So I didn't have no problem with him driving the car. But if we turned on the nitrous and we had a big shot of nitrous, I knew the car was capable of going low 8s. The car would run really good. So, remember a moment, man, he get in the car, we take him up there, he make his first 2 passes, and he's like, okay, Dad, turn the nitrous on. And I said, wait, son, we gonna run this car, this event, without the nitrous. But he's proven to me that he can go down and handle the car with no problem. So after the second pass, he convinced me to turn the nitrous on, and I said, man, this kid, he got me moving too fast. We're doing something I didn't want to do. So let me go ahead and turn on the nitrous. Now, mind you, we're competing. We had a race, small tire race. He went rounds. He went to the first round. He won the first round. His test pass was before that. He's telling me to turn the nitrous on, and we in competition. I said, you know what? I'm going to go and turn the nitrous on. Dad, I'm ready. Turn the nitrous on. I'm ready. Man, I turned that nitrous on. At first pass, he stood the car up on the bumper, pedaled the car, brought the car down soft, won the race, man. And from that pass on, He ended up winning that shootout, the first race he's ever was in, on the nitrous, won the shootout, and I was just sitting back scratching my head like, man, this boy that had me turn his nitrous on. And he went out there and he did his thing. So yeah, that was a memorable moment, man.
Man, I remember that's nice, but I remember a moment y'all actually came out here. It was on Jay Schaefer video. Man, y'all did a wheel spin, the whole freaking track.
No.
Bro, do you remember that?
Don't say y'all. He did the whole track. Yeah, I remember that, man. So again, it's almost another memorable moment.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. He had been in his car, the new car that I had built, but I hadn't really cut him loose in it yet. We raced at home. The tracks wasn't as good. We had never got the car figured out. So this particular race, we had the car dialed in. We was getting the car dialed in, and I brought the tuner here. We was ready to turn the car up. We was ready to cut him loose. And as soon as we got it going, we had a wheelie problem. And we knew we had a wheelie problem. We was trying to put the weight in the right places. And again, during competition, the car got up on the bars, and this kid took the car the whole 8th mile on the wheelie, man. I was just, the whole time I'm scratching my head like, oh no, but he pedaled at one time, and I mean, he just, oh man.
Man, I don't know. I don't remember you scratching. I remember you running down the track like this, coming back to collect some money. I
was running down the track, you right. When I came back, I said, oh my God. 'Cause he put confidence in me fast, but to watch him control these cars and operate, it's different from you driving it, man. You get in there and you do the world. But you watch him do it, it's different, man. I'm telling you, watching your kid do it is scary at the same time, but then once you gain confidence in him, you start like, God damn, this little kid can drive, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too, man. So how does it feel to see your son doing what you're doing, man, taking out your footsteps, man?
It's amazing, at the same time scary, because at the same time, you know, everybody who got kids, the father and mother, man, it's still your baby at the end of the day. So to watch him go 200 miles an hour in a car is always scary, but then it's a proud moment too, to just be able to see that this kid can compete, he can control, he can do a lot of stuff, man, in that car, man. So it's a proud moment, proud dad moment.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Nah, I salute y'all, man. I salute y'all. So going back to the grudge racing style. So how was it grudge racing in Cali? What was your first couple big grudge racing moments when you knew that you was like, man, I'm the man now? Like, you know,
man. To be honest with you, man, I've been grudge racing in cars I drive every day, every car I ever been in, man. To be honest with you, it's all I knew. I watched my dad and them grudge race, big grudge races, and no, I ain't always been throwing big money on races because I didn't have big money. But whatever I put in the car, if you got $500 and you bet $200, that's a big money race because you ain't got much money. So I've been involved with these type of races, man, as long as I can remember, and it came natural to me. You know, it just came a part of my life, a part of my style. Where anytime I would do something, and it ain't just grudge racing. Anytime I would do anything, I wanted to gamble. If you wanted to shoot basketball and shoot 3-pointers, you know what I mean? Or you wanted to race my little brother, I felt like he was the fastest runner. Whatever you wanted to do, I've been gambling with it, man. So memorable moments, I can't pinpoint one because it's so many. I've been involved in so many in so many years that I can't really remember what was my first. But like I say, it's a lifestyle for me, man. And it's what I do. It's what I do.
Right. So what do you think changed from grudge racing today and what y'all was doing it, and when y'all was doing it, and how do you think we can make grudge racing as a sport better?
That's a good question.
I asked it in 2 different forms. You can.
I try to. You just let me know if I hit it on.
Yeah, for sure.
So first of all, I watched grudge racing in the old form back in the days with my dad now, right? And then I participated in grudge racing 30 years ago. Right. So I can kind of elaborate on both, my opinion on both. Right. So grudge racing now to me it got, just like the racing period, it got, so much money got involved in it when it came to the quality of cars. Now, it's a technology thing. Now you gotta have tuners, you gotta bring these nerds over who can work this computer. And it kind of changed from the garage stuff that we grew up doing. And with that, just like the technology of life, with that came too much, right now today, to me it's just too much, I'm looking for a word, but back in the days, they would pull them cars out the garage and they would race. I don't care what it was, they didn't need to know this, they didn't need to know that. We didn't care about, we wasn't matching up cars. If you had a car and you wanted to race, and basically this was on the street, they pull it out and they race. Nowadays it's so technical and so much money involved that people are buying each other out of races. You know what I mean? Like the level of racing then went too high, and it's too much involved in it to where now it ain't about just bringing the car out, bring what you bring, let's go. Now these guys is bringing $1 million operations into a scene to where it's levels. Back then it wasn't levels. It wasn't levels to it, man. I promise you, it was like if you had a pro mod, you was Grudge Racing, you was right over there running a pro mod guy. Nowadays it's like if you got pro mods and this pro mod got this kind of combination or this nitrous or pro charge, or it's just totally different. Back then it was just all about horsepower and all about nitrous. It wasn't all these turbos and pro chargers and all that. So the technology to develop with the money being that everything is so expensive and it's so technology so high, it's nerd operated. You gotta have this. Back it ain't just turning the screw on the carburetor. It just changed. It ain't, you can't even compare the two. Back then, guys would race no matter what. You know what I mean? Bring it out the garage. They bring it out of there. They built in the garage all month, all week, 2 weeks, all night. They bring it out. And it just ain't that type of racing no more, man. It's a totally different ball game.
Yeah, that's what Troy said something similar to what you saying. I interviewed Troy Jackson. Shout out to Troy, man. And he was just saying how people be trying to buy races now. They don't want to race for. He said a $1,500 pot is good with him because he's not rich, but he's not broke at the same time.
Right.
So a $1,500 pot is he good with a $1,500 pot.
And see, I can relate to that because I came from that. But now I can also relate to the new school because me coming here, I bought 15 people with me. I bought 2 cars and 2 trailers, and I came from California. Not to brag and boast, but it cost me over 20 grand just to come to the race. Yeah. So if I want to race you for 5 or 10,000, and you may feel like you only want to race for less, a lot of times to me, I feel like sometimes it ain't worth it. But that's just the level of racing we
right.
That's how the technology didn't change. Back in the days, I raced you for anything because we was pulling that stuff out of our garage, and my dad was tuning it. You know what I'm saying? And we wasn't spending all these thousands of dollars to get this stuff. It's just a whole nother ball game with racing, man. A whole other level, a whole different level.
So I'm glad you explained that, man. I just wanted to get your opinion. So how do you think we can approve Grudge Racing from 2020? Since this is a Grudge channel, from 2023 from here on. Now, in your opinion, everybody gonna have their own opinion.
So, in my opinion, and everybody can contest to this, I don't care who don't know me or who just been watching me race. You just gotta get out there and race. You can't be scared to lose a race. I mean, I don't want to lose now. Every race, and I don't care how many times y'all see me lose. Every race that I ever been in, I thought I could win. And I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna get it. You gotta get out there and race. You can't be ducking this car, don't want to race this car. If you feel like these cars are equal, you got to race. And to me, it's just too much of not want to race or buying people out or the money too much or the money too less or the cars too much. Or it's just too much of that. To me, to change Grudge Racing, to get it back in the old form the way it was, you just got to get out there and race, man. It's going to be people faster than you. You ain't going to ever be the fastest. There's too much technology out there. Somebody's always going to have something better than you. Right. And it's going to be a winner and a loser every race. You gotta get out there and race, man.
So do you that was good, by the way. Do you believe in any 2 cars can race? Do you believe in that saying, any 2 cars can race? It's to a certain extent.
I do nowadays because that keep Grudge Racing going. Because like I say, like I started on a certain level and now my cars is here. I don't want to not be able to race the guys because I'm here and they there. I feel like any 2 cars can race. If you can figure out a step and figure out something to make the cars equal, I feel like any 2 cars can race. Now, of course, I don't want to see one car that just so far outclassed another car and you got to give them half the whole track. Yeah. But if cars, I feel like there is negotiation. Cars can race. Yeah.
Okay, man. Nice, man. So let's go back a little bit. we're really on the same subject. What was your biggest grudge rivalry? Or rivalry in general, on Street Outlaws or on Street Outlaws or off Street Outlaws? What was your biggest, one of the biggest rivalries that you ever had?
Well, back when I was coming up, we used to, you always want the big dog. So whoever is out there doing the most street racing, the big dog, I always wanted them. So back when I was coming up, you had the boys that was running over in Oakland. We had some guys that some old school racers that was kicking a lot of butt, man. We friends now, but back in the days when I looked up to them, it was Big Johnny 5 and Indian Tone, and these guys had some fast cars. And when I grew up, even Doc Finley, when I grew up and had my car, I felt like I could compete. I wanted to challenge these guys, and that's the first thing I did when I got out there. I challenged Johnny 5 and them guys, and we went out there and we raced. And same thing with Street Outlaws. Oklahoma, they had the torch. You know, they lit the fire. They them the guys that started this whole TV show, and they had the whole world looking at them. And it's always a grudge with them. I've always wanted to beat them guys. You know what I'm saying? So, and still now, it's a target. I've always got it. I ain't really accomplished my goals. My son went out there and he did it, but it still ain't me. You know, I didn't went out there. I haven't went out there and consistently beat those guys. That next year, that's gonna happen.
Nice, man. Nice.
This season, I would say.
Yeah. 2023. So another question I wanted to get into. So outside of racing, what was one of the darkest moments that you had? One of the darkest moments.
I would have to say going to prison. That was one of the darkest moments because that really changed my life. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, man, when you're out in the world and we grow up in an environment and we learn these skills or we watch these certain things go on in life and you start seeing things you want and learning ways, watching negative ways or positive ways, you gravitate towards that. And me, where I grew up at, I didn't look up to doctors and lawyers and stuff like that. There wasn't no doctors and lawyers in my neighborhood. I looked up to the dudes that was doing what I liked to do. Right. What I seen I liked to do. I looked up to hustlers, man, and guys out there getting it in the streets. And I gravitated to that and had a negative outcome, like most situations is. I ended up with 10 years in federal prison. I was a stand-up dude, so I didn't have no way out. You know, some guys got a way out. I had to stand up on the 10 I got because I had a family name and I had people that respected me, and I wanted my kids to grow up with the same type of respect. So I had to do that. I had to deal with it, man, head on. And one of the darkest moments about it, man, was just leaving my kids, man. My son, y'all see him now. Prior when I left, he was 6 years old. And we was attached big time. I was the dad that picked him up every day. My other son and my daughter was very young, and I was a real dad. I had these kids around me on the regular, and when I had to leave and leave them for 10 years, I had to tell them I was leaving them. That was the toughest times in my life, man. Right. Real tough. So very dark moment, man. Being gone 10 years, a lot of times, prison ain't no rehabilitation place. It ain't, man. You go there, you think like, let me go here and figure out how to do something better, and you really learn more negative things than you knew when you got in. You get around all the criminals, the biggest, baddest criminals in the world with all these different ideas. A lot of times you come home and you start doing more and more negative stuff. So
okay, it can block it out.
I like to give myself credit on this level because I came out and I created a lane outside of the negativity I've been doing all my life. I came out and I started my team Boddie Racing, and it took me where I'm at today, man. It gave me the opportunity to do what I love to do. I get paid doing it. I'm a professional racer. I've been on the TV show 10 years, and now I've created a lane for my son. And the lane that I've created ain't just for my son. It's for anybody that comes from where we come from to realize that I don't care what you go through in life, you can turn something positive out of it, because I never saw myself being a professional racer. The kids in the neighborhood right now, I go right now and drive through the neighborhood, they don't see themselves being a professional racer, but they look at me, now they have the opportunity to look up to somebody that came from where they came from. where they at now and end up being a professional racer. So I like to go through the neighborhood, man, and get back to the kids, man. And I turned a very dark situation into something positive.
Nice, man. Yeah. That's nice. That's a testimony, man. Yeah. So what positive impacts have you made on your community? And we're going to go back to the prison situation, but what positive impact have you made on your community? I know you talked about the kids and stuff, but can you elaborate on that? Or if it's something else?
Yeah, so I made a huge positive impact on the community, man, because I sponsor a lot of the kids with my racing. I give kids opportunities to play on the sporting teams there, football, basketball, baseball. I also throw local events, racing events where I bus out a lot of the kids that came from my community and my area and my neighborhood to be able to see the races and see professional racers, even see some of the guys they see on TV. My give back, man, I feel like I'm contributing not to the level I want to, because I want to do more. I always want to do more. It's never enough to me, because a lot of them kids out there, they don't have no guidance or no father figures or no real man figures, or son and dad relationships and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm continuing to give back, as well as seeing them see me with my son. Right, what I'm saying, and let them know that they're still real dads out there. You know what I'm saying, and good people. So I'm giving back, and I continue to give back, and I want to give back more. Nice,
man. Yeah. Nice, and I'm gonna make sure I highlight that part too. Yeah. That's the whole part of the segment, man. Just to give y'all more exposure, man. And I know I ain't got the big platform you got, but like just the little fans that I got, I want people to know that. You know what I'm saying? That's nice, man. That's nice. Before we get back to the prison situation, so you've been to the gym. You still pretty consistent in the gym?
I'm normally in. I've been having a lot of issues, man. I got a back issue. I don't really talk about a lot, man. Okay, I got a real. I can suppose it now, but I got a real bad back. The basketball over the years damaged my back, damaged my nerves. So I'm in the process of getting that situated. But I don't let it stop me. You see me racing and doing what I'm doing. It slowed me down on the gym. Normally, I'm working out a lot more. My plan is when I get back home to get back started. I like to do a lot of bar pull-up, dips, and push-ups, because the weights over the years just hurting my joints and stuff like that. So you do more
calisthenics than actually what? That's what I do. Yeah. That's what I do.
So it's about calisthenics and dieting, right, man? So nutrition. I'm on a page now to do all the right stuff, because now we're in this third stage of life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make my last years be my best years. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I don't want to be out here and all messed up. So I'm trying to get this back situated so I can get back out there in that workout gym.
I feel like that calisthenics is better than the weights though. Anyways, in my opinion, it's all about your core when it comes to calisthenics. That's right. But
and to stay with you.
Yeah. You don't have to have weights, nothing like that. Yeah. Calisthenics, man. And that's what made you kind of like get to working out more because of your back situation?
No, I was an athlete, man. I've been working out my whole life. Being an athlete, playing sports, playing basketball, a lot of people might not notice about me, but I've never drunk, I never tasted any alcohol, I never smoked, I never tried any, so I've never done any substance in my life. So part of my deal was always staying in shape, staying 2 steps ahead of my competition. So it was a lifestyle, it's something I always incorporated in my lifestyle, and that led to me always feeling like I needed to work out. The only thing that slowed me down was these back issues, so I've been kind of like on the downside, but for the most part, I've always stayed somewhat in shape.
Nice, man. So what was the issue with the back? Like, is it?
Man, basketball. Just straight basketball.
Okay.
I started off young and 17 years old. They told me I had a bad back and I needed to stop playing. And who's gonna tell a 17-year-old they're gonna stop playing?
Exactly.
That was the last thing on my mind. So I played all the way until that. Actually, basketball. A lot of people, it helped me get through prison. It was something that I did every single day. I went in there, I worked hard. I promise you, I felt like I was NBA ready when I was in prison. I was in the best shape of my life. I rested. I wasn't staying up all night. You know what I mean? I had nothing to do but get in shape. I worked out every day and played basketball, and that actually put more wear and tear on my back because we didn't have good gyms in the jail system, man. Yeah.
So what other things you did in prison, man? If you don't mind me asking,
I fed my mind, man. I wouldn't say I read a lot or stuff like that. People usually think reading a lot and going to school, you feed your mind. Yeah. But I went to talk to a lot of intelligent people who made mistakes. So a lot of people don't understand it. The federal prison give you opportunity to be around people. Like people in Wall Street who commit a crime, they come into federal prison. I'm not finna have an opportunity to talk to nobody who was trading stocks or somebody that's a genius in the books. In my lifestyle, they wasn't walking through my hood. So when I got into prison, it put these people together, and with my personality, I was able to talk to some of these people, man, who gave me a lot of bright ideas and a lot of stuff that I use today. You know what I'm saying? With investing skills and managing skills and talking to these guys who was in really good positions but made mistakes. So the bad things that prison don't teach you, depending on the personality and the person, you can go in there and learn some things from people and utilize it when you get home. They're tools.
Nice. Okay. You taught me something new, man. Okay, so walk me down the day when you, first off, if you don't mind me asking, what was the charge, and walk me down through that day, man, before you even got to prison. What was the charge? If you don't mind me asking,
you can't ask. This open book. In my case, you can read about it. You know, you just put it up and put my name up, and it's going to be actually the first thing pop up. Unfortunately, you know, I don't want to be known as that, but that's just part of life. It's got to stick with you. So my charge was conspiracy to sell more than 5 kilos, distribute them to the East Coast, me being from California, distribute them to the East Coast. My case is out of Pennsylvania. And prior to hopefully that's answering the question, prior to that, you know, I never thought I'd get busted. I never thought I'd get in prison. You know, I thought I was the slickest man out there. I was doing what I did and did it for so many years. And prior to being in prison, I thought I was invincible. I thought I could do it forever. I didn't have no plans on stopping. I didn't think I ever would have to stop. So up to speed after getting going and getting incarcerated and getting busted. Started my prison sentence and started my mindset to think about doing something positive, because a lot of people don't realize your actions, man, affects a lot of people, and you break relationships that sometimes can never be built. Rebuilt. You know, it's hard to rebuild a relationship that you've been going away from for a decade. It could be your mom, it could be some of your kids, it could be your kid's mom, it could be uncles and aunties, grandmother. That's one of the things that affected me huge, was leaving, watching my dad and my grandmother. A decade to a 20-year-old to 30-year-old is nothing. A decade to a 60-year-old to 70-year-old is huge. Them people, man, one of the most delicate relationships that hurt me the most was watching my grandmother and my dad get old, 10 years older. You know, from in prison, not being able to be there, and watching them come to the visiting room. I watching when I got home, the difference in age, and having a short period of time to be with them. My grandmother passed away 3 years after I came home, and she was like, she went from her early 60s, her early 70s to her early 80s. And it was huge. You know what I'm saying? So just stuff like that, man. It's like when you think back, think about your actions and things you do and the relationships you destroyed. When you get out, you think about those things. You make you want to do better things for yourself.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing that story, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad you out. I'm glad everything good now, man.
Good
thing. Man. So this leads me to like my last question. Well, my couple, my final 2 questions. What's next for Boddie, man? What's next for 2023?
Man, I got some stuff, man. I can't expose right now. But sure. I'm gonna tell everybody and all the people that's been supporting me for years, even the people that ain't supporting me, man, it's getting bigger and better for Team Boddie, man. I got a lot of big plans for the future.
Nice.
I got my son with me, man. This Team Boddie thing, man, I plan on actually just getting bigger and bigger, man. And y'all, everybody know with this TV stuff going on, man, they put the light on us, gave us a great opportunity. So now I'm trying to further those steps I've made, man.
Nice, man. We're gonna be looking forward to it, man.
Yes, sir.
And what was a time in your life what was a trauma or an event in your life that made you who you are today?
Well, I'll say every step of my life, man. I feel like everything I've been through carved me and did something to me to make me who I am today. It helps me in so many different ways. I don't think if I'd have been able to, the type of person that went through one thing, that it would make me who I am today. Me going through numerous things, man, as a child, as a kid, just a kid in the projects. To me, where I come from, just being a kid in the projects, a lot of kids didn't make it out of that. You know what I'm saying? So from there, going to basketball, playing sports, being good at sports, being competitive in my teens, you know? And then from there, being a hustler, going to the streets. You know what I mean? Knowing how to navigate through the streets. That's to me that's like being in the jungle, you know? You're out there with lions and you gotta become a lion because that's what the environment you in, you know what I mean? So being that, then going to prison where a lot of people there don't care about life. People in prison don't have a lot of love. So it's a lot of mean people in prison, man. So going through the prison life, man, how to navigate through that. Then coming home, being a racer, and now being a legit person and dealing with a lot of friends financially stable. Coming from where I come from, I didn't have all these friends that's financially stable. I didn't have all these people that can give me advice on how to create revenue and build myself in a positive nature. Just all those things in one, man, created it carved me to be who I am today.
Nice, man. Nice. And basically, last question, man. How can they reach you? I'm pretty sure everybody know you, but how can they reach you? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube?
Yeah, and this is the part I'm not good at. So I forget all this stuff, man. But
I know it. I'm gonna put it in here.
But I for one, man, how to reach me first? I like to give a shout out to the people that's behind me, man. I got a few sponsors. LAT been sponsoring me, man. I got Summit sponsoring me. I got Iski Performance, man. I know I'm forgetting something, man, and I'm sorry, but I could just put that out there. You know what I'm saying? Just those for now. And I had a lot of help along the way. I can't say all the names, but look me up, man. Team Boddie Presents on Instagram, YouTube. It's J Boddie, JayBoddie. I know I got another page. I think it's Jermaine Boddie or whatever. Team Boddie. My other Facebook, but those are the main ones, man. And I know my son Boddie Jr. I think his Instagram is Boddie Jr. Something like that. But yeah, that's my social media platform. I ain't started all the rest of the stuff. Hopefully this year I'll have a lot more with Twitter and tweak and all of those stuff they be having. But yeah, that's how to reach me, man.
Man, all right, man, Boddie, I appreciate your time, man. We really appreciate it. You just don't know how much we appreciate you, man. I know you're a busy guy. Like, we love you, man, and we appreciate your time, man, for real.
And I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate the opportunity to get on here, man. I see you got a lot of people on here, man. I'm just privileged that I get the opportunity to be able to be one of them.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Boddie.